Hi, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for clicking, as I always say, but I really do mean it. Thank you for clicking on this video. Oh, but I actually do really appreciate it because I would be nothing without the people that watch my videos. So I want to make this video a little bit more chill, so let me pull up my leg. I have my tea here. I thought we would just have kind of like a relaxing chat about the things that resin art has taught me. A lot of things that I've learned throughout my journey with resin, business-wise, art-wise. If you share the same passion as me with doing resin art, or if you want to start doing resin and you're looking for inspiration, if you should do it or not, then maybe this video will help. The first thing it has taught me is patience. I have this weird paradox in my mind. Most of my mind is a paradox, I've come to realize. Everything to be perfect, but then I rush things sometimes. It makes no sense because if you're a perfectionist, wouldn't you spend more time on something? I don't know, but I just like things to be done and I like them to be done quickly. Resin art taught me to be more patient because it takes time to cure. Like if I pour a resin bookmark right here, right now, I still have to wait at least 24 hours for it to cure. Some resins take a couple days and I can't just get the result instantly. Or if let's say I'm pouring something and I need to put multiple layers on it, if I'm doing like a resin Ouija board, I do a clear layer with all the flowers, and then if I'm doing like a white or a black Ouija board, I do the color as a second layer 24 hours later. I have to wait like a day to take things out of the mold, so everything with resin just takes time, and I've had to learn to love that time, and I've had to learn to accept that that's just the way it is, and no matter how excited I am about a project, I have to wait. That's been a really positive thing for me. I think so much of this generation and this time in our lives is everything's so instantaneous in every way. You want food, it's delivered at your door. You want a date, it's right there on an app. You want to talk to someone, text them. It's like everything is so much about instant gratification, and I think resin has taught me to not get that instant gratification. Going into an art form that takes a little bit of time and patience is really good for me, and it kind of allows me to be present and stay grounded in myself and the process rather than be quickly wanting a social media post about it. You know, it's kind of like any art form. If you're a painter, you know that many layers have to go on. If you're into oil paint too, I know that that takes a lot of time to dry. So like a lot of art forms do take time. Music does. I'm not saying like resin art is this special thing. Obviously a lot of art takes time. That's what makes it so amazing. Learned how to take mistakes and use them as a learning experience. I used to be, of course, my perfectionism. I feel like so many artists are perfectionists, which is hilarious because art can never be perfect, obviously. Nothing in life is, but somehow perfectionist brain makes you think that it's achievable to be perfect. And so it's kind of taught me to see mistakes as a learning experience rather than this terrible thing, because the last thing a perfectionist wants is to make a mistake. But then I think you kind of take the fun out of art because then you don't take as many risks because you don't want to be wrong or get things wrong. I've taken so many risks with resin, and I know it's hard because resin's very expensive, so it's not necessarily a material that you want to take a lot of risks with. But I do it anyways because I get more resin sent to me from brands and I've established myself more that I feel more comfortable doing that. Things go wrong now, I'm better at looking at it as A, a learning experience, and B, I go into game mode. I'm like, what went wrong and why? It's a lot of W's, but you know what I mean? Just like, all right, this resin didn't cure. What happened? What can I do to make this better? And I just sort of play around with different ideas until I figure out what I need. For example, I just started working with a deep pour resin that I'm obsessed with. I love it. But I mixed colors with it because usually if you do, let's say I'm working with art resin, I'll pour, you know, a little bit of color and then a clear layer on top. They blend a little bit, but not too much. But this deep pour resin, I poured in thinking that it would do that same kind of layering thing, even when it's done in one pour, and the whole thing mixed with color. So I was like, no, I just ruined this project I was working on, I was really excited about. So learning experience, now I know not to try that method with deep pour resin. Trial and error kind of sucks sometimes, but resin art has taught me to kind of just embrace that. Now in other areas right now, I'm working on music and acting. I'm not as afraid to make mistakes anymore. Even in acting, if I forget a line in class, or because I'm in acting classes right now and I'm loving them, but if I forget a line, it's not the end of the world. I had this one class that went so bad. I was not connecting to the character. I did not feel in the moment. Things just weren't going well for me. Normally, past Meg would have been like, see, this is proof that I should not be in acting, that I should not do this. And now I look at it as a complete learning experience. I'm like, okay, what was taking me out of this moment? What was not clicking for me in this character, and how can I change that for future classes and future roles that I would like to audition for? Everything now is just taking this negative thing, this failure, this experience, and turning it into a lesson. For some people, maybe that's easy. For me, it's taken me some time to get there because I just want to be perfect and amazing at everything on the first try, but that's just not how anything works. Oh my gosh, I have learned so much about human connection and how much I love it, which is kind of ironic because I'm a little bit introverted and sometimes I find human connection overwhelming and I have a lot of anxiety surrounding talking to people. But I love the connection that Resin has brought me because I have this channel and I've met so many amazing friends, and even if somebody's messaged me and we've just had a brief conversation and never talked again, those conversations still mean a lot to me because it was this moment of connection that wouldn't be there if I didn't do resin art. And I think it's so cool that I'm getting Christmas cards in the mail from the UK. I'm getting cards when people heard I was going through a breakup. I got like the sweetest thing sent to me, and I'm like, that's so cool. Like, there are people out there that have never met me that are watching me through a screen and actually care. Sorry, my dog. They care about me not just as an artist, but as a person. And how amazing is that? It's like art is the thing that's connecting us all, but then we have these beautiful connections outside of the art form. There's some people I talk to that had babies since I've known them, got married, and I feel so involved in their life. I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl had her wedding and this girl had a baby. The human connection part is what we all crave, and I think especially artists crave that. I read this in a video, I think my last one of my last few videos. I said how Adam Grant wrote about the fact that, you know, when artists share their work, it's not self-promotion, it's connection. It's about human connection, and that's the whole reason that we're artists in the first place, because that's what we crave. That's what humans crave, and I think artists are very in touch with that part of themselves. 50% of me loves the art, and then 50% of me loves the connection that it brings me. How nice brands can be, and how much they can support me. Total Boat Resin has been one of the biggest supporters of me, and it was the first time, I believe, I had resin sent to me, and they still do. I can't get over how nice they are to work with. The messages I receive, they just warm my heart to no end. I love talking to them, working with them. To be supported by a brand that's so well liked and makes such amazing products, it's like, whoa, I can't believe that this is my life. A couple months before I ever got in contact with Total Boat Resin, I was like, I want to get resin sent to me for free. That is like my goal, that is my dream, because resin's expensive and I want to try different brands, but I don't really have a lot of money. So I kept manifesting it. I'm like, a brand will reach out to me. Manifesting, you say it in the present tense. A brand has reached out to me and sent me resin, and then it happened. I'm a huge believer in manifestation. I would love to make a whole video about that. It came true, and it was the coolest thing ever, and now it's just like we have this beautiful connection and relationship. Brands that have sent me molds to try and all different things like that, and I just love working with brands that are super supportive. Resin art showed me that I can do whatever I set my mind to. I think so many times, like I said, I wanted to be perfect. So let's say I wanted to get into music. If I wasn't amazing at songwriting, then I would think I wasn't cut out for it. And same with acting. I thought, oh, well, if they don't see me as this incredible talent right off the bat, then I'm not meant for it. But that's not true at all. There's so many actors that went through training and got better at the art form before they're cast in something. And musicians don't just pick up a guitar and start writing music. There's so much work that goes into things. Like they say, talent is overrated. People are naturally good singers, but it's hard work that gets you further than talent. And realizing that, seeing my work from when I first started doing resin to where my work's at now, it's crazy. And it was the first time I've ever, I mean, I did grow up in competitive dance and I saw myself get better in dance, but because I was in dance pretty much since I could remember, it felt like just something I'd always done. I'd never really seen like a progression happen as intensely as it did with resin, and it gave me the confidence to go for other things in life. That's when I started doing acting classes. Seeing my channel take off, and I guess kind of seeing that I could have an audience of people that supported me made me feel like, oh, well, maybe I could do other things and people would support that too. So it kind of gave me the confidence seeing that I could make money from art and make money from doing something I love. I've talked about this in videos before, so I'm going to say this really quickly. Realizing how much I was self-sabotaging, and self-sabotage can come in so many different forms, whether it's, you know, you have something important to be at the next day, but you go out drinking even though you know it's gonna mess with you. I've done that. I remember in high school I would go out partying sometimes and not make it to my acting classes because I was too hungover. That was like 16-year-old Meg. I'm 24 now. Why did I do that? Acting was all I ever wanted to do. Music was all I ever wanted to do. And then when I had opportunities, I would self-sabotage. I would do things that would make me not get it. And I talked about this in another video, but you know, I would get orders and I'd be so excited people were ordering from my business, and then I would take forever to ship them out. And it's like, why did I do that? Why? That's all I ever wanted. Or if my channel started to do well, I would just not post as much because it scared me. I don't want to be seen by more people because then more people aren't going to like me. It's like, yeah, but more people are also going to like you. It's fine if people don't. And I worked through that. I don't have to be likable. That's not my goal here. My goal is that I do art and I inspire people. Not everyone's gonna like that or like me. Working through all of that. My limiting beliefs I had on myself, my self-sabotage. This is a behavior and a habit you've done your whole life, and you're not gonna do this anymore because this is very important. You always search for new ideas and never stop learning. I think because resin's so versatile, there's so much you can do. I can do paintings, cutting boards, molds, necklaces, earrings. I love trying to come up with new ideas, like things that I know I haven't seen before, and I go on Pinterest and see if it exists, and I've never seen anyone do it. That's one of my favorite things, is to come up with new ideas, because I have such a cool resin idea I'm working on right now. It's going to take a little while because I'm using a deep pour resin, which takes days to cure, but I have so many cool ideas, and I just love that resin inspires me to always be looking for new things to do and experiment, take risks, keep growing as an artist. I think that it's just been an art form that's really inspired that for me. Working within a time limit, which I think can both be good and bad. It's good because I'm a perfectionist, and even when, for example, I'll make a resin tray, right? And I usually paint the edges white or whatever I'm doing and then varnish it, and I spend hours doing that. Painted the white chalk paint a little too much on the resin, I gotta clear it. Oh, now I took the paint off and I have to go in and repaint it, and I spend hours like nitpicking. And I'm like, that's why I like resin, because you have maximum 45 minutes to work with resin, depending on the brand. Maybe there's other brands that give you more time, but 35 to 45 minutes until it's so thick that you can't work with it. And I like that because perfectionist me would just sit and nitpick every little detail, but resin's like, nope, do your work and then you are done, you are cut off. And so working within those time limits has been a super interesting thing, and you kind of have to be creative and make it work within the limits that you have. It was kind of a good thing for my perfectionism in a way. The last thing I wrote in my list was understanding the process. Things don't happen overnight, and it took years to develop the skills that I have. Kind of realizing that good things take time, and when people look at my work and think, oh my gosh, you're so amazing, I'm like, yeah, but look at my work from 3 years ago. You know, this wasn't a natural talent. This wasn't a natural thing I just started doing. It only came from hours and hours and hundreds of pours to get to this point, which is why I'm saying it helped me to realize that everything can be like that. Music, acting, it's all just skills you develop. So that's why I make videos like this or tutorials, because I'm trying to show people what to do so they learn from my mistakes and they don't have to go through as much trial and error as I did, and to show people that these are skills you develop over time. You don't have to be an amazing resin artist on your first pour. I didn't even barely make a painting on my first pour, so don't stress. Not something you have to excel at right away, and I like to guide people and help them out. I think that just inspiring people is like the greatest purpose you can have in life. That is all for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. I'd love to have you part of this awesome resin / small business community. You can also follow my Instagram here, Meg Dion Art. I post way more on there than on here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!